I tell you, folks, I've never seen such lunacy in my entire life since Obama has taken the White House by deception. I want to talk to you for a few minutes on this sanctions on Korea. Why isn't anybody talking about the elephant in the room? I want to read something to you. Listen to this. This is back in 2010. United Nations, the last-minute deal-making needed to secure Russian support for new UN sanctions against Iran became clear Friday when the Obama administration revealed it had ended sanctions against 4 Russian entities involved in illicit weapons trade with Iran and Syria since 1999. U.S. officials also acknowledged that a loophole slipped into the language of the draft Security Council resolution on Iran would exempt a Russian-Iranian missile deal from a proposed ban of major arms sales to the Islamic Republic. The move to lift the Russian sanctions, recorded in Friday's Federal Register, comes just 3 days after the United States, Russia, and other key powers reached agreement on the draft resolution, which would sanction Iran for violating UN demands to halt its uranium enrichment program. Russian officials had complained vehemently about the sanctions against the entities, one of which, Russian state arms exporter, was sanctioned for its dealings with Iran in 2006 and 2008, though U.S. officials for weeks had confidently said they had secured Russian support for action against Iran. Moscow publicly raised its demands for an end to the sanctions only in recent days. Sanctions were also lifted on Moscow Aviation Institute, one of the 3 entitled entities sanctioned in 1999 for aiding Iran's development of ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons. Oh my goodness, folks, let's go. Isn't there anybody smart in this country? I mean, I'm certainly not smart. In terms of intelligence, they use that word smart, but the word smart means to be, has to do with pain, suffering. So I don't even know why they use the word smart. But anyway, you've heard the term, you hit your thumb with a hammer and you say it's smarted. Well, anyway. Is it really folks are blind, stupid, or what? Because the elephant in the room is Russia. And Obama's the elephant in the room. These are 2 of the most obvious problems right now. And yet, we're focusing on North Korea? And the only reason that North Korea is doing what they're doing is because if they didn't flex their muscles, then they would look so wimpy in the eyes of all the nations. That's the only reason they're doing it. This is the strategy, okay, behind the New World Order. The strategy is, let's use North Korea as a guinea pig to divert the attention away from what we're really doing. And what they're really doing is trying to bring a world war between Russia, Israel, the United States, and Iran. Now, why would they want to do that? What is the purpose of that? World War III. They've already said within the New World Order, they've already said there has to be a World War III to bring in the New World Order. Look, North Korea is not even on the map. It's not, in the sense that it's not even a blip in the problem as far as they're saying, well, North Korea is going to supply Iran with weapons. Let me ask you a question. Why isn't it a problem for Russia to be supplying Iran with ballistic weapons or with uranium? How come nobody's talking about this? I mean, you don't even hear about it in the news. You don't hear nothing about it. And it was dropped by Obama. Obama's the one that lifted these sanctions. In 1999, these sanctions were lifted. How come nobody's talking about this? This is the obvious elephant. I mean, this is the most obvious elephant, and I don't hear anybody talking about it. Let's pick on North Korea. Let's get a war going on between Korea and North Korea. Let's get a war going on in their countries, because there's already a division between, in Korea. So let's get them fighting amongst themselves and get a little diversion going here. Look, North Korea is like a little boy flexing his muscles to a muscle man. You follow what I'm saying here, folks? The real problem is Russia. Russia's the one that you should have your eyes on, in the sense, God already told me. The Lord said, watch Gorbachev. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's not a friend to the United States. He's not an ally. Reagan was all for the New World Order. Gorbachev is all for the New World Order. Even Iran is for the New World Order. The leader of Iran has already said, and I've got it on my website, he has made the statement that a new world order needs to come about. And so here you got, they're all calling for a new world order. Is anybody else seeing this picture? You got Iran calling for a new world order. You got Israel calling for a new order. You got Russia calling for a new world order. You got China calling for a new world order. You got America calling for a new world order. What do you see happening here? I see a world war taking place. Why? To bring in a one world government. What's the one world government? The United Nations. Who is it that places sanctions? It's the United Nations placing sanctions. Why aren't they placing any sanctions on Russia? Russia's the one that's feeding Iran. Russia is the one that's feeding the Middle East. How come nobody's talking about this? How come nobody's talking about the little conversation that Obama had with the president of Russia just before he was started his second term? What's going on in this country? You don't hear it in the media. You hear nothing in the media about Russia. It's almost like people are afraid of Russia. Why are they so afraid? Just the name Russia, people cringe at. Why? Why is Russia... You know what I mean, folks? It's just so crazy. Why is it that America is cowering? That's what Obama's doing. He's cowering to the Russians and lifting their sanctions because they flexed their muscles. Look, Russia wouldn't even be where it is today if it wasn't for us. You ever thought about that? Russia would not be where it is today if it was not for America. And I'll tell you this right now, maybe this will upset you, but when Reagan said, Gorbachev, tear down this wall, that was nothing more than a show. When you see Reagan standing with Gorbachev in front of the Statue of Liberty, that is the New World Order. I mean, I'm telling you, I can't believe how blind people are to the truth. So blind. Can't see beyond their noses to see what's really going on here. I mean, how far do you have to look to see who's really feeding Iran with uranium? It's Russia. It's Russia. So why have the sanctions been lifted off of Russia? Nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. Listen to this. Since the beginning of the year, the Obama, and this is back in when Obama was first became president, the first term. Since the beginning of the year, the Obama administration has lifted sanctions on 2 other Russian entities. And all of this has to do with the dealings with Iran. The United States launched full-out negotiations Wednesday in the 15-nation Security Council on the draft resolution, which would expand its arms embargo against Iran and tighten financial measures against Iranian elites. Yet it also emerged Friday that the draft includes a loophole that would exempt a 2005 Russian deal. You know what that means? We're going to let Russia pass this deal through. Oh, good gracious. Folks, what is this? A loophole that allows Russia to feed Iran. Why are we picking on little North Korea when the real problem is Russia? We've got a traitor in the White House working. He's a traitor. And he's working with Russia. Working with Russia. We got a traitor in the White House. We got worse than a mole, folks. We've got a traitor. He's not just a mole, he's a traitor. Do you understand? And Gorbachev in the United States paying no taxes except $1 once a year on the building where he teaches globalization. He is the one that is the biggest mole. I mean, folks, are we so stupid in America to not recognize who the real enemy is? Russia is the bear. The bear is not dead, folks. The bear is only wounded. What does that mean? This is a bear. This is a nation that has been wounded. Its ego has been wounded. Are you understanding? But they're coming back. And we idiots in America are allowing a president that is a traitor to our country to bring them back. When Obama bowed down to the king of Egypt, he transferred power. Obama's already said that if things go bad in America, that his loyalties lie with Islam. I mean, we are idiots in this nation. We're absolute idiots. We are. We're idiots. If we can't see the elephant in the room, I mean, it's an elephant so big that you'd have to want to miss it to miss it. You'd have to overlook it purposely. It's so big. But you don't hear it on Fox. You don't hear it on CNN. You don't hear it on any major network. Nobody talks about it. And I know why they don't. Because they don't dare to. They don't dare to. Because they have been, basically have been told, you are not allowed to speak against Russia. That's what the administration is putting pressure on the media. They're putting pressure on the networks. But there's someone behind the whole scenes even worse than that, more cynical than that. And that's the ones that are running the show behind the media. You know, you can't tell me Murdoch is not involved in the New World Order. Can't tell me he's not. If you don't think Murdoch is involved in the New World Order, in the Council on Foreign Relations, and if you don't think that this is a diversion or a distraction, it's more than a distraction, it's a diversion. They are diverting the people's attention off of the Middle East and making it look like North Korea is the problem. That's what they're doing right now. It's kind of like Clinton going over and starting a war, a Desert Storm, to get the attention off of what he did with Monica Lewinsky. Bill Clinton should have been impeached. They let him run the course. They let him continue to stay president. And now he's in a position where he's actually in a place where he may even start leading the United Nations. Do you know they're actually talking about that? Bill Clinton running the United Nations or heading the United Nations? That would be very, very bad, because if that's the case, the United Nations is the one world government. Can you see Bill Clinton running the one world government? I can. There's Ahab and Jezebel, his wife, Clinton, Hillary Clinton, as president of the United States. Ahab and Jezebel. But we've got something worse than Ahab and Jezebel in the White House. We've got Pharaoh. Pharaoh's in the White House. You folks, it's dark. It's so dark we can't see this huge elephant in the room. I mean, we're talking about an elephant that's flashing with lights and fluorescent lights and flashing. I mean, we're talking about something so obvious that we have a traitor that's the president of the United States that looks over at the president of Russia and basically says to him, when this is over, we'll work, we'll talk. I forgot his exact words, what he said. Oh, Jesus. I'm telling you, folks. Are we so blind? That's what the scripture says. The Bible says that the blind lead the blind. They both fall in the ditch. Do you know what it is that blinds people? It's pride. Pride. That's what blinds people. I'd like to see your comments on this.